Phil Hammond, you're a GP. What's
Yes?
your impression of the profession's view of the reforms?
Well, this all depends on trust, and the profession is deeply suspicious when a government comes in and says they're not going to perform a major top-down reorganisation of the health service and then lands 353 pages on you. The difficulty with this is it's 353 pages of Wonk. It's absolutely impossible to understand it. I choose my words carefully. It is unreadable.
What did you actually say?
It's Wonk, basically. It's 353 pages of policy stuff.
Legislation is incomprehensible.
But this is unreadable. There is no narrative, there's no convincing story. You would think if you would read that, you would hear words like transparency, openness, accountability. They're not in there. How many times do you think the word competition appears in your health and social care bill, the version I have? I know there have been 17 versions since, but this one. How many times do you think the word competition appears? 86. How many times do you think the word cooperation appears?
No, it appears.
Naught. Integration.
You've been using your word processor.
There is a duty in the
collaboration.
There is a duty in the legislation. There is a duty in the legislation for integration of services.
There are 86 competitions
and for the integration of health and social care
86 competitions, 4 cooperations, no integration,
yes,
no collaboration.
Integration is in the bill.
It's not in the one here. Anyway, the point is the reason that people
already said the thing is incomprehensible, so there's no reason to argue about it.
The reason that
all legislation
the nuts and bolts of
all legislation, including his, is incomprehensible.
I'll let you speak. Andrew, I'll let you speak.
No, wait a minute.
Let me speak, okay?
What is your impression about the reaction to this question, the reaction of the NHS professionals, and does it indeed matter? Because
yes, it does matter.
Aren't the professionals in any industry or business always against reform?
It's not just the professionals, it's probably the vast majority of patients. And one of the reasons they're against it is, A, they can't read it. Nobody I know has actually managed to read this thing. But the thing that they're most worried about...
You've done a word count on it.
I have done a word count, but the thing that worries people most about it is this element of competition. What the NHS needs, above all, it needs to rediscover its humanity. There are lots of areas where the NHS is very good, but if you look at mid-staffs and cases like that, there's a real problem. The problem with competition is that in every instance we've tried competition in the past, and Labour did this and introduced a market into the NHS, the competition came in and cherry-picked the easy cases. In the NHS, 20% of patients take up 80% of the resources, and the patients who need it most, the cherries with 5 or 6 diseases, I can see patients here I'd say, oh, you're fairly fit, I'll cherry-pick you. There are patients here I'd think, golly, you've got 5 or 6 diseases, you're a bit expensive, I'm not so interested in you. The only way to solve the problems of the NHS is to integrate it, to absolutely focus relentlessly love and compassion and the best service on the most sick patients. Okay? Now, if you introduce a market into that, it's very difficult to get that level of integration when you splinter it up with competition. And although Andrew will say there's been a change in here that will, it's never happened yet, and simply NHS workers don't trust competition to improve collaboration. What they want is collaboration and integration. Keep as many patients out of hospital as you can.
Tell you exactly what the bill does. It does say about integration. It doesn't change the extent of competition.
It says it, but will it do it? Is the interest? Yes, nobody trusts it to do it.
But you can't. You're not trusting the doctors and nurses and health professionals themselves. The essence of the bill is that we design the service around the needs of patients. We give the doctors and nurses whom we trust to provide us with healthcare the ability to commission the services that they need for their patients, and then we make absolutely certain that it's democratically accountable through the Secretary of State to Parliament and through local authorities and local community. That's not hard to understand.
Hang on, Secretary of State. We've got 5 people on this panel and a lot of hands up.